This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, and that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Welcome to the April 21st edition of One Nation Radio. I am your host, Rich Latta, of course, here with my co-host, James Boyd. James, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just got done scrubbing a bathtub, so I guess it's time to move on to something new.
Yeah, man.
Work on another project for the night.
Yeah.
Or for the day.
Freaking, yeah, you already know what it is. We're here. It is Easter Sunday. It is 3 years since the death of Prince today. So, first, want to give a big rest in peace to the Purple One. If you go back in the archives, we did a episode right around the time he died that I think was probably one of our better shows in the archive. But make sure you guys are rating and reviewing us on iTunes, Podbean, or wherever you listen to us, and tell your friends all about the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Also, check out our friends at powerslam.tv. Link will be in the annotation. If you are a fan of independent wrestling, they have over 4,000 hours of footage from all around the world. Use the code Social Suplex to get your free month's trial. Don't forget to visit ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex. Pick up your Social Suplex shirt. My man Joe Saba in Australia said he can't wear a One Nation Radio shirt in Australia. Otherwise, it's like some crazy right-wing thing. It's called like One Nation. It's like the party. And he would get in trouble for that. So he, which is like kind of hilarious. But make sure you guys visit the Patreon, patreon.com/One Nation Radio. Check out all our other great shows on the network, but we got lots to get to today. Yeah, so we're gonna jump all over. We got a little bit of AEW, we got some WWE talk, we got some future figuring out of things here. So I guess let's just start here with the AEW TV deal. And the stories that came out, and if you guys are looking for comprehensive coverage on this, the guys over on All Things Elite did an excellent job. Floyd with Dave Brown, and they did an extensive job. I'm not gonna go back and pull all the tweets that happened in that situation, but make sure you check those guys out. But James, did you see people jumping out the window like I did?
Yeah, I mean, it came from the normal people, and it's funny because, like, they're the ones that a lot of the people you see, like, if you look at your mentions of people you follow on Twitter, to see, like, who's kind of has a sore spot when it comes up to the subject of AEW and how well they are or not doing or anything involving them. It's almost like we don't even know we only have an idea of what the company could potentially be. We haven't even seen the show yet. Like, why? I don't get why you're already hating it. Like, I mean, if you have a thing where you don't like the Young Bucks in their act, or same for Kenny or Cody or whatever, I can get that. Like, there are certain people, like, I'm not exactly the biggest Kenny Omega fan outside of his killer matches. I don't really care, but I don't really have enough of an opinion about the Young Bucks to care one way or the other. I enjoy their matches, the ones I tend to watch, especially like the ones of the last year or so when Matt's out here letting Nick do all the work, because Matt got his bad back. So like those matches are kind of toned down or whatever. So like I never saw or didn't see many of the matches before when there's the super kick bonanza and all the other stuff. And then Cody, like, Cody's a lightning rod because, he's more of a WWE type of wrestler or whatever else, and he is someone that fits in line with the top of a Ring of Honor workhorse situation from back in the day. Like, he's no one's Daniel Bryan, so no one ever misconstrue him for that, or McGinnis or AJ or anything like that. But so like a lot of people have their issues where they're taking that into it, and like I can understand where like obviously like they have whatever they have and figured out whatever they figured out through whatever means that you may or may dislike, and they're taking it and they're the ones that have this opportunity or whatever. So I understand like why people have whatever issues, but I don't get why you can't look at just NXT and Triple H, for example, to see someone that was literally a locker room, just someone that was just cutting people off of the kneecaps every chance he got to keep himself on top or whatever else. And now that he's a person that's kind of in the back, or he's in the background, he does like 1 or 2 matches a year, and you see what he's putting out as a booker, that's a completely different thing. Like there are levels to this thing. Like chances are they're not going to be booking this thing for themselves, or they can, and we'll see, and then we'll be back to where like there's only WWE again. So like they have the opportunity. Let's see what they do with it. I'm kind of walking into everything with a fresh perspective. But sorry for rambling around on that. But my way of getting back to it is all of that stuff that people have in the back of their mind, or the forefront of their mind, and their negative feelings towards these guys or whatever else, or feelings of insecurity about the fact that like there's another outlet for people to watch pro wrestling in America, and I don't know why. It's like, if anything, the best case scenario is AEW does well, and then WWE also does well, and WWE is like the incumbent, so they already have the inside track on people's attention anyway, and therefore, like, we can possibly have 2 kick-ass wrestling shows to watch, where all these wrestlers are, more or less living up to their potential, as opposed to feeling like, regardless of how many people they come up, you see them on NXT or whatever else, or what have you, and then they end up, more or less not being utilized to best their attention. Like, there's so much wrestling talent in the world and in America and in North America, whatever else, and all these access, and we have so much access to everything else in the world that's like, why not, like, let's do this right, as opposed to we have one person on top, their McDonald's, their Starbucks, their what have you, and they make a good enough product. They make a good enough product for the common denominator, but like, let's have more flavors than just, or let's have more burger shops than just WWE. So, like, anyway, like, so those people that are protective of WWE and whatever, and AEW haters, they're distrustful of like
dirt sheets and
the dirt sheet riders, as they like to call them, and them, people are saying like they trust only half the stuff. They only trust stuff that they like. Well, in this case,
any whiff of bad news or potential bad news, they ran with that like Usain Bolt, Jackie Joyner Kersey, Flojo, and it was a baton. It was a party on Twitter for a good smooth hour until Dave came out there and was like, nah, that's not right. But
the person that like reported is like someone that, I mean, I'm not really, I get my news for wrestling news from like a few places, so I don't know everybody that's out here on the ground,
Yeah, I don't think the guy's a wrestling reporter.
Info. This person I never heard of, and no offense if I didn't heard him, I'm sure there's like 5,000 guys I haven't heard of, but this person I hadn't heard of before, and that's the news they went with. And then all of a sudden, like, I see them, and I just like all the memes, all the jokes, laughing and whatever else. Like, and this same thing is funny because the Meltzer thing with Ronda Rousey from months ago, when he's saying like she's wrapping up and she's probably going to go try to start a family and then come back or whatever, and she may or may not come back. People were like, it turned into,
you don't know anything.
Right. Now, in the current appearance, if you're someone that follows Meltzer and you hear how he, if you hear him on how he writes about Ronda in her year in WWE, or hear him on Observer Radio podcast, and hear how he talks about it, he is very much pro Ronda Rousey. So, like, if anything,
like Dave is like he was like looking the other way during a lot of like her downfalls towards the end of last year,
or he wouldn't. some of her shortcomings as far as like her promo work, whatever else, aside from like the one super weird Sasha Banks promo about the I should wash her feet with my hair or wash her hair with my feet. Aside from that, he never really ever said like, yo, like, you know, like that Nikki Bella promo about when he slut shamed her was horrendous. But, you know, for the most part, he was very positive on her. So it's like if one were to listen to the things he said about her throughout the entire run and juxtapose that with what actually you will watch from week to week, one will be led to believe that he has an end there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like from the outside perspective, when you hate all wrestling reporting, or you want people to just like, I hate those people that are, I hate what is done to the business or whatever. So I just want to watch this stupid show and not have to be spoiled on anything else. Or have people that know, like, critique something they already see is coming, and then like wonder why like they're not enjoying the Magic show. Like they were so quick to hop on after keeping that shit at a distance. They were so quick to hop on.
It's phenomenal.
This one, it was like, oh, so y'all are okay with the reporting at times. It's just when it's some shit you like.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So
cool.
I noticed the same type of thing, but as we mentioned, Voice of Wrestling came out and debunked that. Yep. Especially like I think Floyd did a good job, like putting like, you know, their finger on the pulse there, because Mookie Ghana, everybody can kind of figure that's their source. He works for AEW, and he was tied in with Voice of Wrestling. So if that dude is saying that this time buy thing that is not on the table, and you know, we spent like 10 minutes now just talking about that, but we didn't tell you what the whole deal was. So apparently the thing was, there was supposed to be where AEW would buy time on TNT, essentially like an infomercial, or essentially, and it'd be like an hour. That would be doesn't that sound like kind of expensive, James?
Yeah, like, I mean, look,
to be in prime time on
Tony, you're right. Like Tony Khan would be absolutely a money mark if he did that. And I mean, he's still kind of a money mark. He started his own wrestling promotion, but still, like, that would have made him the biggest money mark all the time. Like, there are too many people, or he has listened and followed too much wrestling by all accounts. And I've heard him speak on what he wants to do with the AEW. So it lets me know that, like, it makes me feel like he has a sense of history. So if he has a sense of history, he knows good and damn well, like, he can't be the money mark.
Also, money is fucking falling from the sky right now for like any type of live program with followings and everything. It's like all you got to do is put your hand out. Someone's going to like get it. So what we're hearing still is there are two networks negotiating. Nothing's changed yet. Right. I'm sure whenever the news breaks, I think the closest guys that are tied in with it will have it, unless it's like, you know, special circumstances.
Yeah. And the thing for me is like, I didn't take it as this is nonsense, this is impossible, this can't possibly be true. I took it as I find it hard to believe that somebody in this day and age, when knowing what it is with TV rights or for live TV, would pay their way onto the show. Like,
yeah, that sounds foolish. Like,
it sounds like it's hustling backwards. Yeah. I mean, and look, we've seen plenty of people do things that are counterintuitive or whatever else and come out making money, but just to do that starting out just sounded like it just didn't sound right. So I was like, all right, maybe. I doubt it. But
that's why I was like, I sent a tweet out during the thing. I was like, well, that's not optimal. Like, keyword being like, if this is true, like, that's not optimal. Like, kind of clown or whatever. And then I was talking to Keith Mark Anthony Jackson. Shout out to Keith if you listen. And he was like, nah, man, this is bullshit. I was like, we'll see. And then like about an hour later, like Melzer put that thing out on the board, and I was like, ask and I shall receive, and it pretty much got like squashed out from there. But we'll move on from there. But yeah, man, I just thought it was hilarious how all that, you know, that party that went down on Twitter. But I mentioned it in our group. It's like some Cobra Kai shit. John Kreese's karate. We only want John Kreese's karate in here, James. That's it. We only want Vince McMahon's pro wrestling. That's all we want. So, speaking of pro wrestling, CM Punk somehow has apparently showed up to some indie promotions in the middle of nowhere with Ace Steel, who was his original trainer. He was behind the show. Apparently Silas Young from Ring of Honor was involved, and he hit a GTS in a mask. He ran out to the ring, did a run-in, and he got up out of there. Apparently, this isn't the first time Punk has did this. This is just the first time it's really blown up like that. With, AEW starting and all that, I wonder if this is kind of a plant, like for the idea of CM Punk returning to the pro wrestling scene. Did you hear about this story, James?
I heard about it and saw the video. My thing is, like, if the idea is to try to ferment the idea that he's coming back to wrestling, then like I would have saved the shit for Double or Nothing, right? I would have him come on Double or Nothing and been like, all right, yeah, like. Two things I announced. I'd had CM Punk come out the same way that like Jericho came out at All In and attacked Omega at the end of the show, right? I would have had that. I would have had one of those kind of moments, and then I would also at the same time I've been out here plugging that like my TV show. I would come out and make sure I have my TV deal in or whatever else, and then like announce both of those at the same time on both of those shows. Be like, look. We have we have Chris Jericho, we have Kenny Omega, we have Cody Rhodes, we have whoever else, the Young Bucks, and this plethora of all of this young talent or talent that has not been overexposed or whatever else. And then also we have like one of the biggest names in wrestling of the last decade, and like he has been gone for 5 years. So like, come check us out.
Yeah. What do you make? And there was always that story of CM Punk going on that podcast saying if he did show up in wrestling, he'd be in a fucking ninja suit wrestling his friends and no one would ever know. Apparently, this is like,
did he say that?
He said it about like 3 or 4 years ago, and which is hilarious that this whole story comes about because there's like stories, and I believe Sean Ross Sapp wrote on this on Fightful Select that this stuff has been happening since at least 2015. Which is like, wow, where else has this man been? So, with CM Punk, like it's always going to be like that love affair there from fans. Like there's a lot of people that he was an anchor for that kept them watching WWE in those long, the fall of 2012, the summer of 2013, spring of 2013, where if there was something, on the show that you could look forward to, it was that promo CM Punk was going to cut. It was...
Yeah, like, he was a top guy in WWE for 3 years.
Yeah.
Or close to 3 years, right? Like... What more? He's one of those guys. Like you always talk about WWE as far as like the last Goldberg run in 2017. It was like there's really nobody else to come. There's really nobody else for them to come back and get. Like they got Sting before then. They got I'm trying to think who else to come back. They brought back Ultimate Warrior back in the house over the years. Like there was no. They got back Hogan. Like Flair came back. Like there's really nobody else for them to bring back. And I don't mean necessarily wrestle like be a gigantic. Somebody's like, oh, like we got everybody back in house and we can start selling these DVDs and shirts and and parade around as a legend or all the other thing. Like. And now at this point, because they exhausted all the WCW guys or whatever else, like the only person left is now people that like exited on bad terms, and like nobody ever exited on bad terms worse than Punk, and that was the bigger star. So, I mean, in recent eras, so that's where we are. I mean, obviously, like Warrior, like that was a huge
Brett,
clusterfuck. Yeah, Brett too. Like those are huge clusterfucks. But like we even brought Brett back in 2010. So like now it's like. Punk is like this generation's Brett as far as like estranged from the company, was a top star, and we never knew if he was ever going to come back. And if he ever does, like the fact that he's out, like it's a huge thing.
In legions and legions of fans that are just kind of that will follow them wherever. And Brett was like kind of like the same way.
Yeah, like I mean, he's a person that like they show up somewhere to wrestle, and you're going to grab an eye, similar to how Jericho did the thing with Omega and had raised Western business for New Japan. It's like, yeah, like he's respected as a wrestler. He was on top for a while. Yeah, so of course, like that would be a huge get for them. But I mean, we'll see. Like I don't know what the relationship is.
Yeah, so I know that he was with Marty in Chicago at like Wizard World or one of those conventions recently, just like a day separated, or maybe even on the same day that the Bucks and Kenny were there. So I'm sure, you know, if they would have crossed paths, that would have been the time, you know, just putting the timeline together. But
speaking of Marty, right? When is his deal up? In a couple months or in the summer?
From what I heard, it was like he signed a 6-month extension like at the end of last year. So I would think he would probably be showing up.
June.
Yeah,
maybe
June, July, something like that.
Okay.
Also,
did we ever? Good question. You ever forgot there was still heat because how that man went over on time with Okada?
Oh my God! Yeah, I would be interested to find out like those guys' real feelings about that, because like it all ended up like working in the end. They had to rush their main event and all that, but Marty almost fucked the money out here. So like
the ones went out there and had how long did that match go? That main event, like 8 minutes, 9
that shit
minutes,
was like 11 minutes or like 9 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, like bro, like that shit was like a Kyrie Sane like sprint match where it was like, yeah, we're gonna try have a 5-star match in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you know, things happen or whatever else, but they was cutting it close. Like another show that cut it close was the MSG show.
Yeah,
they rushed off the air. They rushed off the air after Okada hit that Rainmaker.
Did you watch it back?
No, not yet. But like you can tell, they're like. Think of how fast, like on the Titantron, we were watching it, and like they get to celebrate like they cut that, they went home.
Yeah,
like that's all we like. New champion. That's all we got. Later,
wrap it up.
Yep. Sprinting off the air.
Yeah. So
it is funny because like clearly it was a time thing because. Otherwise, like it wasn't like they tried to scam the audience to get off air. Like everyone was there to see Okada win the title. It wasn't like it wasn't like no Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar situation at all.
Oh my God, bro! I would have hated to been in that audience. My God. Well, hold on, they did what?
I mean,
rush the ring.
Well, I mean, think about how. I mean, we got the videos of them after the show, like how they booed when they realized they went off air.
True. So. The Superstar Shakeup, we kind of had, you know, a couple days now to sit with it and kind of like look at the rosters and all that, and I've got them pulled up here, you know, and I'm calling this Shaking Out the Shakeup. So, James, what are some kind of feuds that you may want to see with, you know, the guys, and I'll give you a second to pull the roster up, you know,
okay.
that were drafted there for me, and of course, I pull up this thing and I get like something start playing in my ear like an advertisement, because you can't just go on CBSSports.com without something playing and them trying to sell you a car or a Jeep or something like that. But
you know, honestly, now I ever since you started or years ago when you started harping about how you cannot get to a video on YouTube without cutting through an advertisement. Mm-hmm. And but like now, ever since it for years now, I just can't unsee it. And I like to thank you for making like life that much harder. Thanks, appreciate that.
You know, anytime, man. So me, you know, looking at, I'll start with like Monday Night Raw, since that's the show I normally cover on our Lords of Pain show. I want to see Ricochet.
Oh, and you gonna look? Hold on, and you gonna stay covering it? We're not switching. We are not switching.
You mean you don't want to give it up?
Hell no! You can have them 3 hours. I'll deal with trying to like scramble and bust my ass trying to keep notes for over the 2 hours and then do a show like 15 minutes later. I'll deal with that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing what you have to do with it in 3 hours. No, thank you.
So
it's not fun.
So I would like to see Ricochet run it with pretty much everyone on the show. We can have him get Ray out of there. We can have him fight Andrade. We can have him fight Cedric Alexander. We can have him fight Seth Rollins. We can have him fight AJ. Yeah, I'm very pleased with the amount of good wrestlers on SmackDown, or excuse me, on Raw. Of course, the Usos and the Viking Experience you know, that will probably be a pretty good tag team feud. As well as, you know, Black and Ricochet are there, so and you can pretty much sub Aleister Black with all those other guys that, you know, I named for Ricochet there. So not too excited about the women's division there, because it looks like Lacey Evans is going to be pushed as a top star. You know, I don't know. What about SmackDown? Anything on there is jumping out at you? Possibilities.
I mean, we can run back Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns at a certain point, and we don't have to do the whole gimmicky Jericho or Braun Strowman is going to come save the day for them. They can actually, like, they have good chemistry in the ring, and I enjoy that. Like, I mean, I think that's for later on, like maybe SummerSlam-ish, that sort of thing. I think for me, I think with SmackDown, I think the main thing is that they have to rehabilitate Kevin Owens at the top of a card as a top of a card guy on that brand now. Not like there's no, I mean, you look at it right now, like the top guys are Kofi, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and I guess they're going to try and get Lars there. Randy Orton's a guy that can throw in to be in a title match at any point in time, but like he's somebody that's he's a vet now. He's old head. He's not or be hitting the road like that to be able to do that often. So, like Kevin Owens gonna have to come through. You know, they can always elevate Finn Balor, but like I don't trust them to elevate Finn Balor because look at the last 3 or 2 years.
I would be very interested to see what they're going to do with Sami Zayn, because you can do anything from Sami Zayn versus Cedric Alexander to Sami Zayn versus Ricochet to Sami Zayn versus like Aleister Black. He can be just that annoyance that's in the middle of the card. You can run him in Styles. You can put him against Rollins. You can have him. He's so versatile. Him and Ray would be really interesting because, you know, Ray's not really going to be here for the talking, but we can let Zayn do all the heavy lifting on the talking, and that could probably be like a kind of a flashback essentially to like a Chris Jericho Rey Mysterio type feud.
Yeah. If SmackDown were a 3-hour show, I would be concerned about their depth, but seeing what they did last year, how they managed to, you know, handle only one top babyface for so long on the card while still having compelling or one male single top babyface for so long. And we were still able to make it work because the strength of their tag team division and their women's division, particularly Becky and Charlotte, they were able to, you know, paper over all that and still held together. So I'm not really that concerned because that's the benefit of having two-hour shows. Like we don't have to have copious amounts of depth, and we don't have to, and we can also be restrained enough to not like overexpose people. Like Jeff Hardy doesn't have to do a senton on the apron every fucking week. He can only do it. He can have it to where he does it once a month. So, I'm still trying to make heads or tails as far as who on this card as a single is going to be top promo on the men's side. Like we got Owens, we got Daniel Bryan, like those who be like, who's going to be the third like promo guy to like, you know, to hold this thing together. Like maybe this is a chance for Roman Reigns to kind of show off what he had showcased, like, you know, with Cena a year or so ago or 2 years ago, or with or other times like with or when he just came back. So it's like maybe we can finally get that side of him. Because right now, like his match ain't doing it for me.
Huh? Yeah. Is there any chance that it's Lars
as a promo guy?
Yeah.
I mean, like he's a smart guy that is well spoken, but I don't know if
that's going to be showcased.
I don't know if that's something you want to do with him just being. I mean, like you could do a monster that can talk, but you know my rule. You know how I am with monster. Like I don't even want it. I was kind of upset when they showed us that Braun Strowman could read. So I'm not really, you know, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing in the world, and that's kind of my taste, but. You know, if he's well spoken, so like if that's something they want to do, I'm sure it'll work well. Now, like NXT is not about the promos. Like aside from when they had someone like Sammy down there, but occasionally like their top guys, they can cut promos. Like Johnny can cut a great promo. Adam Cole's a great promo. But that's not something that they really flex on. Like they're in ring performance. So, he needs reps. I mean, if I were them, I'd have him come out, kill people, and then cut promos after the show to try to get him ready for that. But I mean, I don't really look at the house show reports to see if that's something they're doing with him. But it's something they should, if that's something they want to look into, that's something they should do with him versus have him slaughter over again and then cut promos for heat.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's gonna be real interesting to see what they do with Roman Reigns because it looks like they got him staring at Elias right now. That doesn't excite me on any level. And I'm looking for the pitfalls, like where are they gonna fuck it up with Reigns, because that's typically what they do is fuck it up with Roman Reigns. You had an interesting thing based on what they've done with Roman since he's been back. Like,
oh yeah, like he came back, and I can't remember exactly. I'm bad at remembering what I wrote to people, but like he came back and like the first thing he did is like try to reboot the Shield for a third time. Reboot it for a third time, just because that was the third reunion. Then he just spent the rest of that time getting his ass whooped by McIntyre to get, and then like they had a forgettable match, both of them, and they're like two guys that like they should have had a better match between them two. And then this is kind of where we are. Like we're restarting McMahon versus I'm sorry,
who do we
Rookie versus
blame for
McMahon.
that match?
Sorry?
Who do we blame for that match? Because, like, Roman Reigns is kind of adding up these bad WrestleMania matches now, and then Drew McIntyre is, like, rapidly sliding down my list right now. So I'm, like, kind of looking at them both with the stink eye.
I'm giving it to, honestly, whoever is putting together their matches and who's telling them how to lay them out like that. Like, that match wasn't meant to be good. Match was meant to be just a placeholder, and then Roman overcomes the dude. He beat him with one spear.
Yeah.
Like in the whole matches, he gets his ass beaten, and then he beats him with a spear and puts him away. And it's like that's similar fashion like his Roman's singles matches before at the beginning of last year. And it's like, hey man, nobody wants to see Roman Reigns have bad matches or have these Hulk Hogan ass matches, you like to call them. So like that dude is a great athlete. That dude is strong as fuck. Like put that to use. Like that was his saving grace for all the people that talk shit about Roman Reigns or whatever else when he got too much too soon. His saving grace were he was having killer matches on pay-per-view or like on a big match at 10 o'clock or the main event of Raw or whatever else. They don't do that with him no more.
They was like, fuck it. They was like, the great matches ain't working, we gonna do something else. Yeah. Yeah, not my favorite, but if it was me, I'd like to see Roman Reigns versus Buddy Murphy. Like tell him to go in there, pick up the pace with Roman Reigns. Like let Buddy Murphy do that work, give him the rub, and then beat him. Like, and you don't really have to worry about folks saying Roman buried Buddy Murphy. It's Buddy Murphy. Like he's just there to have good matches. So, but you give this guy something and make him want to prove it. Like. Also, maybe a Finn Balor Buddy Murphy match I think would be really good over the Intercontinental title. But I mean,
hold on. Like, there's also Ali there. Like, there's a bunch of good stuff for like that IC title that can be done. Like, like let's say 6 months from now, whatever. Like Kofi, once he whenever belt he comes off the belt, like that's a nice landing spot for him after that too. Is like, all right, he's out of the main event scene, and then they're going to move him back because clearly, like this. I mean, he's not a top star. I love the story and everything else, but like at a certain point, like they're going to look at those ratings and eventually come to this conclusion that like something's amiss here, and they're going to go back. And look, I don't think anybody. I don't think it's unreasonable to be like, look, he wins the title, give him a decent run in a title program, and then the next program after that, then pull the plug on it.
Yeah. I am concerned that they're gonna treat him. They're not gonna give him something to really sink his teeth into. Like we're gonna get to it later, but it looks like maybe Nakamura is his first program, and this isn't Shinsuke Nakamura of 2016, 2015 anymore. And you know how they feel about him. So,
well, you don't think this is a situation where they're just giving him somebody just to beat to keep his heat?
Possibly, but like I don't know. I'm not really feeling it.
I would be shocked if he actually if Nakamura beat him.
Oh no, I don't think that's a possibility.
Or no, I mean beat him to be like, okay, this is my setup, or lay him out to set up a title feud in the future. Look, man, I understand that you want to give him somebody to beat, but I can tell you this right now, I can go through that card to find other people that should get a beating, should get beat before that. That is not gonna sell. Nakamura, Kofi Kingston is not going to sell. It's just not. So
it seems like a lame duck challenger. If that's the case,
yeah, it's Kane. It's Kane doing horror story shit with your wife after WrestleMania 30. It's absolutely that. It's absolutely we're beating your ass fucking week or every other week on TV and on pay-per-view WrestleMania 22. We're right. That's absolutely what that would be.
We actually might as well just shuffle around the format. Let's look at that part where we're talking about the first feuds, and I guess we'll mention the Roman Reigns' kind of trajectory right now. Roman versus McMahon is back again. Boy, last week he knocked Vince out with the Superman punch, and Vince McMahon fell in Elias's arms. He looked like Calvin Candy. And but everyone's trying to figure out, why did Roman Reigns punch Vince McMahon in the face? Look, man, they don't even know why Roman Reigns punched him in the face yet, but
absolutely,
maybe Vince is trying to stand with Elias for some reason. I don't know, man. Because it seems a little weird and off-putting that Vince McMahon is involving himself with a non-title program, and hasn't said a word about Kofi Kingston having his daddy's title. Still,
or we still haven't resolved the Vince McMahon and Becky thing either.
Right. But
there's a bunch of stuff we still haven't resolved Braun Strowman and Vince McMahon when he took his title shot at Royal Rumble either. That's the thing that pissed me off about the whole, or pissed me off about that whole situation where he's the one that punched him in the face, because it's okay, so we went into a WrestleMania where all these people got their matches, and it wasn't through their own agency. It wasn't because of their own determination and fortitude. It was because Ronda Rousey is a hothead that snapped and then punched Becky in a match where she was dead to rights because she's a fucking moron. It is the New Day having to win to get Kofi into the match, as opposed to doing it reverse, where they do it the first time that way, or he does that first. They do the first match, then the New Day have to do it, and then he comes out and wins it himself. That would have been more as far as he is basically controlling his own. They are controlling their own destiny. And then this is just okay, so we have really nothing to do for Roman, so what are we going to do? Bring the McMahons out and do it again, even though you did it in 2015 through 16, and it wasn't good. And in fact, people were cheering for Triple H.
Yeah.
But this time it's going to be Shane.
Or Shane.
It's going to be Shane because it's on Shane's show. So it's okay, so we're really going to do this. Shane versus Roman.
Bro,
who gives a shit?
Bro, should Roman be looking for an exit strategy?
Yes.
And I'm not. And before anyone flips out, I'm not saying Roman Reigns going to AEW. I mean a different exit strategy. Hollywood,
more movies. Yes. Commercial Joe. Yes, out of here.
If this is what they're going to give him. If this is what they're going to create, because they can't find it in their souls to drastically change him as a character, and where he can turn and fight a bunch of different opponents or have different styles of matches, where he's the man. Like, he shouldn't be getting beat down like this by these people.
Nope.
And
like it's one thing. It's one thing for him as a top guy to go back and forth with somebody in a feud. It's another thing where like that McIntyre thing that pissed me off.
That shit was horrible.
He's getting beat down every single week as the top guy in the company. What? Who? And he just lets them. He just like, that's what y'all want to do. Yeah, that's what y'all want to do. Like, and I'm like, Roman, you gotta speak up for yourself, bro. You can't be letting this happen especially after last year when they like, yeah, let them bust your head open. Like, no, man, you gotta stand up for yourself, Roman. Damn, like, stop being such a good guy. Like, this is one of the reasons why I like the wrestling business in part why it is. Like, they talk about the larger than life. They talk about the larger than life characters, whatever else the kids that the people grew up loving, or that was their wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, we have so many good guys now, and it's better for the locker room, and it's better for the health of the business. Not have fucking loons and convicts running around here, and scamsters, and con men and charlatans and whatever else you want to call them. There's far less of that now, but like,
do you think Shawn Michaels? Do you think Shawn Michaels would have won for that finish at WrestleMania 34? What the fuck do you mean I'm not winning?
Bro,
what do you mean he's gonna bust my head open and then make me look a dumbass and lose to the fake wrestling move?
Do you remember the WrestleMania? Do you remember the Mr. WrestleMania DVD when he goes over like all the matches? And it's all his WrestleMania match on DVD, and they talked about the WrestleMania 11 match with Diesel.
Yeah,
and he was arguing with Vince like, dude, I've been laying this dude out with my super kick, and the whole entire story of this match is, if I hit my finish, is he done? Like, what I want to, like, is all it take? Like, can he survive if I hit the finish? And then Vince's decision was have him kick out at 1. And then Shawn told him that shit will die. And Vince is like, do what I say, and sure enough, the shit died. Like, any of this kind of stuff, like, we even hear this stuff about Cena, right? About like the Nexus thing at SummerSlam, right? WWE versus Nexus in 2010 SummerSlam. Like, he made the call to say, I'm going over. It was a wrong call, but he was a top guy, and Vince said, okay, Roman's a top guy. He needs to stand up and say, fuck that. We're not doing that because that's stupid, because it's going to kill me. Therefore, it's bad for the company because I'm your top fucking guy. At times, like, within reason. I'm not saying he's turning into 97 Hogan.
So the only thing is, like, I think Roman Reigns, I don't know if he has that type of leverage anymore, because they essentially had a WrestleMania like build and everything come and go essentially without him. Like, in anything that was like business moving or consequential or anything like that, like, all the tickets were sold like off the brand, and like they lost. Did they lose some TV ratings in the fall? Sure, they did. Right, but
right.
I don't know. Maybe Roman doesn't feel like he has like that type of leverage. Like, when he needs to look in the mirror and realize you're the fucking big dog. Like you need to come out here and like look at the roster, right? Literally pull out a paper, like, and be like, this is the list of guys I like to work with. Like, and just stop being so like happy-go-lucky with, like, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just here, trying to make money and do whatever. But like, what they're going to do is murder you, Roman. Like, and they're going to get you in positions to where it's just as bad before the whole time, where he had to take time off. It could be worse even now.
Okay, so I missed that whole era after WrestleMania 34 where he's fighting Jinder and Joe and Lashley or whatever else. I
think that's as bad as it's ever gotten for him. Okay,
so I missed all that stuff. I heard all about it, right? But the thing for me is the fact that you got this dude back after beating cancer in 4 or 5 months, and he already feels tired coming back. He already feels tired coming back, and a part of that is because you're just retreading a feud that you just did 3 fucking years ago for WrestleMania.
I think that's a big part of, like, he's obviously there for the Fox thing too, but I get the SmackDown thing is a help because it's a fresh scenery. It's away from Seth Rollins, so they can't put the Shield back together to help him out anymore. Like, he's on his own now. The training wheels are off. Like, we're here now. Like, so, like, what they gonna do with it? Like, they gonna let him fly, or they gonna, like, have him, like, you know, with Elias and Lars and Shane? Like, I don't want to see that. And
nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, and I imagine
it is not going to inspire people to. It's not going to inspire people to want to watch that. And then people, like, whenever people are going to have their issues, they're going to go back to pointing at him again. And like and we all know this, a lot of shit he got was because it was stuff that was, you know, behind the scenes shit that had nothing to do with him, and he had to bear that. And it's like, now, and you already know what's about to happen. He's about to get dumped on again, and it's like, hey man, like, this is a fucking drag to watch. Like, you know, and we already know the boo is coming because he was getting booed when he showed up on SmackDown until he punched Vince for the cheap pop. So you know that, like, he's gonna show up and he's gonna be right back to getting booed again, and it's like, dude, it's a drag watching him getting booed. And it really is.
And also, like, WWE just so heavy-handed with, like, their presentation of him. It's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know, man. They got, like, it's like they need to make him feel special and like a regular guy at the same time, because what really, like, endeared him to a lot of people, like, during this whole thing was, like, he felt like a human. And when they're just, like, raising him up to this, like, mythical stature of, like, you know, the biggest acquisition, the like, all this other stuff, it just takes that element away that really, like, he had something going. He had, like, a look in his eye, almost like a sparkle in his eye, like damn, like we shouldn't be so hard on this guy. We shouldn't, you know, like, we should give this guy a chance. Like, look at him, like. And then WWE's fallen into all the same familiar traps with him, I think.
So, like, my problem with it wasn't as much of that wasn't my takeaway as far as, like, and it didn't bother me when they said he's the biggest acquisition ever, because, like, whatever, they hype up whatever the hell they want to hype. Like, every single pay-per-view is the next biggest fucking
the future of WWE, the future of this company, the future of SmackDown, the future of everything, the future of the rest of time, you know.
Yeah, my takeaway as far as what is already made me, like, tired of him so far, and it ain't even got nothing to do with him, is that, like, at what point can we get away from, and it's the same thing that happened like 2 years ago with Seth Rollins, like, at what point can we get away from his fucking leg? At what point can we get away from, like, every build towards everything he does now is about the cancer? Like, at what point do we get away from that? Like, and not because I'm sick to death of him of that being thrown in my face, is because it gets in the way of him actually, like, telling a compelling story. So, like, we'll see what happens with this, you know, Vince thing, whatever else. But I'm just already exhausted by the idea of we're going to be proxy battles, and it's you know, Vince can't do it no more because Vince broken down. Vince can't even take bumps no more. So we gotta, and keep in mind, it's the same fucking loon that went out there and told Owens to give him a raw fucking headbutt like 18 months ago, or less than 16 months ago, some shit like that. Anyway, so we're at the point now where, like, he can't take bumps, so we got Elias has to do it. We have to have, you know, eventually
Shane gonna have to wear the grease.
Shane is like, hey man, I don't want to see any of these dudes wrestle, let alone actually I take it back. I love to see Lars squash people. Outside of a non-squash match, I don't want to see any of these dudes wrestle, let alone their top guy. And, like, a lot of this going to come down to, at what point are they going to stop hiding and say, all right, Kofi Kingston is the top dude, or is the champion? That might be SummerSlam. Daniel Bryan's now, you know, is at worst your number 2 guy on the show. When are they going to collect? Because when are they both going to bump heads or whatever else? Or are you going to hide them and then save it for WrestleMania? And I don't trust them to have the strength to do that. But like, when is it going to come? And what are you going to do in the meantime to get people back on or get back onto like that feeling of when Roman first came back, as opposed to what you've done since then? Because you retreaded with the Shield, you retreaded or you beat us over the head with the cancer stuff, and now you're about to retread what you did with Roman to try to get him over one of the million times, or planned 45 out of the 1,000 you tried over the last few years. So, like, what are you going to do in the meantime to get him ready for when they eventually have to go face or meet each other? Because it's going to come, and you better damn well build some credibility with him. Otherwise, it's going to be the same thing all over again. It's going to be 2015 all over again after the Rumble.
Yeah. What do you think about McIntyre and Lacey as the first challengers for the men's and women's titles? Like, keep in mind, it's a long time until SummerSlam. These are, McIntyre holds the win over Seth before SummerSlam. Lacey's shown up, just punching Becky Lynch in the face every chance she gets. She actually won a match against Natalya. Not the most impressive effort in the world. That we talked about on the last show. I don't know, man. Like, I think they're decent opponents, like, as long as neither of them win. Like, because, like, we didn't come this far with both Seth and Becky for them to come off the belt that quickly. I think, like, I'm not as down on the Lacey Evans and Becky Lynch feud as a lot of people are. And, obviously the idea on his face is Lacey Evans. But, like, the fact is, their gimmicks, like, I expected this at some point anyway. You got a woman running around calling herself a man, and then you have one that's out here trying to tell people to act like a lady. Like, it's like it's a characterful feud, right? It's not going to be exciting at the top of the card,
right? But like, we kind of just did that with Ronda, and like, she said the same shit in promos, except actually said it out loud as opposed to like Twitter fingers. So it's like we just got off that. Now what?
Yeah.
It's like, remember when we got to a point where like Cena would come out and will show up and then feud with somebody, and then he would let them talk, and then like it was a fucking debate and whatever else, and they would like, and then like they will run out of their 5 minutes, so it's time for his 5 minutes, and he'd be like, "You just said the last thing that Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, The Miz, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, Y, D that said. Why are you any different?" or whatever else. And like, what else you got? It's like,
I got nothing, John.
It's like, okay, all right. I mean, it's not that long in the tooth, but if we're gonna do two of those back to back, like, I don't know, man. Like, I would rather them like, it's really hard because they put they put Lacey behind the 8 ball on this one. Like, she could have been on, like, she was been up since the Royal Rumble. She could have been beating people. Like, she could have been beating people to build some credibility, and then gave her this. But, and like, she's going to lose, probably. And then what?
So I think it's a situation where they just want to throw her in the deep end and see what she has, and then rebuild her from there.
But
I don't agree with the strategy.
Like, hold on. You can't keep grabbing all the talent in the world while also having that fucking while having the power plant. I'm calling it the power plant.
Yeah.
And then say, "Hey kid, go out there and swim." I don't know. I never saw your backstroke, but go out there and swim. That's irresponsible.
Correct. Completely irresponsible. Like, when you could have had a developmental show, you could have been having her have important matches on, main event style matches on. You could have, as you mentioned, had her beating people up till there, but you do all this waiting and all this protecting and all this moving these people along. Elias was the same way, kind of, and even Elias is still not, like, he's had like one pay-per-view feud ever, like, with Seth Rollins, and he hasn't had one since, essentially. And it goes back to the argument that I made, the Performance Center, like, these people want to be able to say they take people from scratch and it works, and they're going to give these people these opportunities to be in places that they probably shouldn't.
And I agree with that. But the thing is, like, they're doing it despite of the quality of the product, And that's always been the issue when they do this. When they bring up Braun Strowman when he's one of the 10 worst wrestlers I ever saw in my life, and then over a span of 6 months or actually 6 months, take that back. Like over the span of like a year and a half, he becomes somebody. Like we don't need to see that on the road. How about you put his ass on NXT, have him bump around, have him throw around all those other guys, all those small dudes around, and then like. After that year and a half, he shows up and he's ready for prime time as opposed to have to watch him fall on his ass over and over and over after when he's clearly given instructions never to fall.
Yeah. I think the only thing with Strowman, though, what Strowman was going to learn was not going to be able to be taught in NXT. They had to get Strowman there while Big Show was still around, while Mark Henry was still around, while Kane was still around to do that, and to bring him on the road with him and essentially go to big man camp. But
right, but the thing is, you can do that. If you believe in that dude to that extent, take Kane, Mark Henry, Big Show, because they're not doing. It's not like they're doing all these fucking dates anyway to begin with in 2015 through 16. Go down there. You're living down. Here's your per diem. You live down here or for 6 months. I need you to show this kid the ropes because we think he might be the next one of y'all. Okay, boss. You're only paying me $1 million every fucking year while I go out here and I'm the shits, boss. Like I don't get that. Yeah. Like I know we're talking about a case
by case deal,
situation. Yeah. But right. But like, for Lacey to have been around for 2 years and like, from the first time I saw her to where she is now, she's basically the same person in the ring.
They've had her in Natalia's school.
She was, and then you see Bianca Belair, and he's like, so okay,
yeah,
so okay,
we've done that on this show before, but
yeah,
yeah. I don't know. Hopefully they just get through it. They don't get any type of crazy idea about like putting one of the belts on her right now, because I think that would just be absolutely catastrophic. And
I mean, it just kills the credibility of the belt. But I mean, then again, like they just put the fucking belts, the tag belts in the Iconics and killed off the credibility of that. So
correct.
Like they don't care. Yeah. They do not care. Like they're liable to do anything. Anything.
Yeah. Is McIntyre someone that is feeling like he has like any type of juice right now because they're doing these weird finishes with him, and I would assume that he's going to be the guy to fight Seth.
You think immediately, or do you think it's going to be some delayed, like to get pulled over to SummerSlam? I think he kind of has to build his heat back after losing to Roman like that.
I think like if I'm looking at the Raw brand, right? Like I think you're going to do AJ Styles and Seth Rollins at a big show, right? Which one, I'm not sure. You're gonna need some type of spring program for Seth Rollins, like, and it's not gonna be the only other suggestion for me would be Sami Zayn, like, and I don't know if they're want to go that route.
I think it could be Sami Zayn because I seriously doubt that they would trust that they care about Zayn enough to move him to where they do that at a SummerSlam.
Right.
I mean, if I were them, given how hot he is right now, and how well he's done so far in the 2 weeks since he's been back, that would be the program for me. But I have no faith in their faith in Sami Zayn because look at the history.
Mm-hmm. And then of course there's the trio of Lashley, Corbin, and like Jinder and those guys.
I can't believe they decided to run that whole entire heel male singles division back another year.
Yeah.
Why can't? Well, to be fair, Lashley was a face when he came in, but he's been a heel since what, September-ish?
Yeah.
Maybe later. Somewhere before Survivor Series, if I remember correctly.
I think it was right after the Super Showdown. He turned.
Okay.
The next
so that's
Raw.
September. So he's been a heel for a long time, and then like after Survivor Series when they did the whole faction thing with they factioned up against Braun Strowman. So like we've now had 6 months of this. So like you knew these last 6 months, and you damn well knew it because you brought your asses out there and say this is a new improved WWE in mid December when those three fools were creating the rating. So
right.
The fact that you decided to run that whole entire, or that nucleus back was like, dude, that's such a mistake. And now, what the hell are we gonna do with Corbin? Corbin's gonna have that. Gonna have to go
he's
out
gonna,
there and
oh my
boring it
gosh,
up with somebody else.
It could be him that gets the match, and that would be just like poor Seth Rollins.
Okay, so one thing I will say is I believe that Seth can get a good match out of Corbin, because Corbin, I mean, we say what we want, and it's absolutely true that he's boring as sin, but he's also demonstrated that he's not a stiff and that he can be carried by top guys, by top workers. And, you know, we give Seth a lot of shit or whatever else, but for this company, he's absolutely still one of their top workers. And you disagree on any of that? Or do you feel like I'm already giving it too much credit for when they go out there and have a damn 3-star even match?
Yeah, like I reject it.
A 15-minute 3-star match.
Like I reject it, and I will not accept it. Whatever that Sami Zayn line is. Well, I'm gonna have to get a soundbite of that just to run it. But yeah, man, I don't know if we need Baron Corbin to get 3 1/4. Sure that can happen. Like, but ain't nobody signing up to see 3 1/4 match. Like, nah. Yeah, Seth Rollins can do God's work and get him to get him to 3 1/4. Yeah, sure that can happen. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like. Yeah, I wonder how long Rollins gonna hold on to this thing. Like, it looks like since, like, I think the only person that's minefield is AJ, because like AJ's been treated really well.
I seriously. Do you think he's gonna stay heel through this whole year?
No,
I'm sorry. Say babyface this whole year.
I think AJ's gonna turn at some point.
So do I. I think that's the feud you eventually build to, is like WrestleMania is AJ versus Seth or whatever else. I think that's where I feel like one. I mean, that's kind of thing. Like when we talking about like with the brand split as far as moving AJ is like. And also, like moving AJ or Daniel Bryan was, we have to have a Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles versus Seth feud, because we haven't had it yet, and it's ridiculous that we haven't had it yet over these years. I don't give a damn how long Daniel Bryan was gone. We are owed this, damn it. So, and another part is like however it was going to work out between those four, whether it was Roman and Seth and Bryan and AJ, we kind of felt like both of those, like they were going to be paired off in the twos, where like those are the top 2 guys on both brands, and they're not going to put 3 and 1 on Raw or 3 and 1 on the other brand, and vice versa. So, eventually that's what they have to build to. Like I feel like one needs to happen at SummerSlam, and then the other has to happen at WrestleMania. That's how I would do it, as far as I try to build out a card. But we'll see.
So we just seen like this weekend, Cody and Dustin. Dustin Goldust is in AEW now. And he was the mystery opponent for Cody. They announced it last night in a 5-minute promo package in the Road to Double or Nothing. It was like a bonus episode. I think it was episode 13. And I don't know if this is a hot take, and I think Josh may have echoed these statements, but the Road to Double or Nothing is like surpassing being the elite as of late. So this is a storytelling device and everything else, but it seemed like they don't have a ton to do right now in being the elite. But on the Road to Double or Nothing, they're doing a lot of great profile pieces on everyone that's going to be competing, whether it's Nyla Rose, whether it's Kylie Ray, whether it is them going and showing you how someone's music is getting done, whether they're doing these heartwarming stories of guys that are going to be, I think Sunny Days was his name, who's going to be in the Over the Budget Battle Royal. But this week they focused on Dustin, and he cut a promo essentially and talked about the build essentially for what this match is going to be, and I really liked it. And Goldust came on here and was yelling at the fans about his contract status, which is absolutely hilarious 1 month later. But yeah, I thought it was like, it's a guy that, if you guys have seen it, it seems like he has a lot left to give at his, like, he's said he's been in the business for 30 years, and he's like, I want to show that I can still do something that means something. And we'll see how the match goes. I expect like a whole lot of, gimmicks and everything else like that. But I think that if Cody's able to match that intensity that Goldust brought in this whole promo thing, I think that's gonna reel a lot of people in that, that claim that, there's nothing to really like on this show. Like, I've already seen it on Twitter, which is like, okay, whatever. But I'm actually kind of interested in it, and I didn't know if I would necessarily say that. I think I said it to Josh. It was a long time ago that Goldust had that run where he looked like he was one of the 5 best wrestlers in the world. That was 2013. It's 2019 now, so I don't know if Goldust, I just don't know. I'll leave it at that. But what'd you think of the whole thing?
There were a lot of stuff that they dropped in the thing that I really liked. I think I said this to you immediately after watching it with my initial reaction. Like the part about, I was there for you, and I don't get my thanks. Like that is, a lot of classic heel jealousy, insecurity things. That I think they're nice, like breadcrumbs. I think that I'm more interested in like whenever they go face to face. I think it would do it for me more than what was done here, because I also still want to see what from Cody's perspective, like what he has to say about this, because it's like as a person that doesn't watch the Double or Nothing work or the or Being the Elite work, when I come to it, like I tend to get like caught in like, okay, I like that. Like I'm kind of already sold on whatever the big thing they have kind of going. So it's just kind of like, I don't really need the additional or the quote unquote additional reading. So, but when I see it, I have to give I'd still take it in as anything else I take in. So I feel like, I'm not sure who's supposed to be the more sympathetic brother in this thing. It seems, at least until I hear from Cody, they try to have an idea of like what they're trying to go for, or maybe they're trying to go for a simple like, they're both brothers, they're both right, they're both wrong at the same and wrong about certain things, and they're going to resolve it in the ring. But I need to see the Cody end of it so I can kind of like put it all together and have it in my and kind of see what they have in their mind and what they're trying to go for. Right. But this is a match. I know you've been in on this match for a long time. So, and it's a match between two people that I'd like to see wrestle. I like as wrestlers. So like, I'm already in. You already have me sold. Just whatever. Whenever it starts, whatever May or whatever else or Memorial Day weekend. Like I'm ready. Yeah. I don't need to be sold. But if you gonna give me something to look at, I'm gonna critique it.
Yeah, and I've been a big fan of Goldust. Pretty much, Goldust is one of pretty much the seminal characters of when I was first started watching wrestling. I remember being at house shows during that time and being terrified of Goldust, saying that he was going to come up in the audience and kiss everyone if we didn't all shut up. So I was trying to tell people to cool it, because I did not want that freak, that weirdo coming to try to come kiss me. I had no concept of what Goldust really was, hinting at there, but I just knew something was different about that guy. So, yeah, man. But we'll see how it goes. Go Goldust. But
oh my God. Oh man.
So
I remember I remember at All In when he came out. What's the name of his dog again?
Cody's dog?
Yeah, Cody's dog.
Pharaoh?
Yeah, Pharaoh. When he came out with Pharaoh, and they did like the like almost like the boxing and MMA or like walk out to the ring with all this, and then he came out and he had tears in his eyes. I remember you texting, you were like, you know what? I'm rooting for Cody for this match. I was like, I ain't believing that shit. And sure enough, you were in on it. Like, tell me how you gone from that, right? It made me believe like you just saying that just for the clout. Now, so I'm gonna hit you with that drink. I can tell the love is fake. So yeah,
we'll see.
I knew it all along. Look, disappointed, damn sure not surprised. I was waiting on this. I was waiting. I was sitting on the fastball, and I got it right over the plate.
Man, yeah. So, that was a great build. That was Bret Hart's Pro Wrestling. That when he came out to the ring, like that was everything I wanted.
It was. Okay. If we keep talking about the NWA title, like Caleb might appear like the fucking Candyman. So let's just move on.
Yeah.
We've done enough.
So two last things I want to get to. So there's been kind of like this new report that has popped up about a backstage update with Dean Ambrose. I believe Meltzer was the one that said this. So he's been hearing from people in backstage in WWE. They believe Dean Ambrose is retiring from wrestling from being burnt out. He's only 33 years old, and he's still drawing interest from AEW, but there hasn't been any match to that lighter, essentially, or
Wait a second. What do you mean? Is interested in AEW? They can't possibly be talking because he's under contract.
Yeah.
What are you trying to suggest that in pro wrestling people have go-betweens and they send out feelers and tamper? Are you saying that in a competitive workplace that people tamper? Is that what you're trying? Is that what you're getting at, Rich Lotta?
No.
You mean to tell me that when free agency hits on June 8th every year in the NBA, when people sign those deals, when they hit 12:01, when people sign those deals at 12:02, that people were tampering? Is that what you mean to tell me? You mean to tell me they didn't
They made these decisions. They don't make these decisions on the spot, James.
You mean to tell me that when Magic Johnson showed his ass up at LeBron's house and he talked to them for an hour and then signed on that they weren't doing any talking beforehand? That's what they were doing talking beforehand. That's what you're trying to tell me? Palinka was talking to LeBron before then. That's what really.
Yes,
Wow.
That's kind of how these things work.
I'm shocked.
But
I am shocked.
And
I can't believe it.
So WWE's been doing a million retirement last matches, farewells. They're doing one right now. Or just did one right now. As we recorded this, they had them in Moline, Illinois. What a high profile town to go to lay it down in. But WWE believing that he's retiring. What were you gonna say?
You want to know how I know about the existence of a town called Moline, Illinois?
What?
From Roseanne from the 90s.
My God.
That's how I know.
What up to all our listeners in Moline?
But I'm saying that's how small hole in the wall it was.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna check it out after we get done here, just to see if which one of them is crying. Yeah,
Seth.
It's got to be Seth. It's got to be Seth. Roman ain't gonna cry.
I don't know. All three might be crying, but I know for sure Seth's crying.
Yeah. What do you make this thing? WWE believes he's retiring. And how good is if that's the case? What has Ambrose been telling them? He's 33 years old. And he doesn't want to go into the most competitive marketplace ever. What? That doesn't even that sounds irresponsible.
I mean, look, man, he's made enough money. You gotta keep in mind, he's one of those guys that's made $1 million in a year a few times already, right? So you have that. He's somebody that's granted he's 33, but he's old. His 33 ain't the same as for example, Charlotte's 33 or Roman's 33. There's a lot of fucking light tubes and cheese graters and nonsense he's had in his life to go through this. Can't keep in mind this dude that almost died during rehab over his shoulder. So there's a lot of stuff that's happened to him, and if he's burned out, he's burned out. That doesn't mean he's retiring. I don't think this is his last match. I don't think this is the last match we ever have, but it could be, and if that's what he decides, good for him. Your mental health is number one priority. So the same thing that happened when Punk left. It was look, man, whatever he needs to find or he feels is the right decision for him to be at peace, whatever. Because you gave me over the years plenty of entertainment. You give me more than I ever had to give you. So I do I'm with. I'm gonna miss you, but it is what it is.
Yeah, like I'm not begging Dean Ambrose to stay. I'm not like nothing. Like go live your life, be happy. Like if you're deciding to lay it down, whatever. I believe Dave said like, and he expressed serious doubt that he's going to retire forever. And he reinforced the fact that like he's leaving WWE because he's burnt out or unhappy. Like that's kind of like what it is. And this kind of ties in, like, we had the conversation about Sasha last week. We didn't really get to Luke Harper, who also requested his release, but there just seems like a lot of unrest, and it's just strange, like how all this unrest and people asking for releases has gone on since like January. I can't put my finger on like has something changed like out here, James? I don't like WWE is like it's just not all roses, like. It's not one great big happy family there. What?
Hey man, it's a hierarchy, and as you like to say jokingly all the time, it's a competitive business.
Yes,
so,
competitive business.
So you throw that, you throw out, there's
they
now
pick
an
people for this shit.
Right, and granted, there's always been people pick people for this shit, but we're in an era now where things move at such a fast pace that like to bog the product down, trying to push somebody down someone's throat for so long, whether it's for an eventual payoff or not, or whether it just leads to nothingness. Like there's no need for that. Like you've built this company for the last, I don't know, let's say since The Rock left. You built this company around wins and losses not mattering, and trying to build a brand as if it's the NFL and the Shield. Well, if that's the case, treat it as such and stop doing this with people at the top of the card, because ultimately, like, it does no good for Charlotte to get booed, or to get that kind of reaction where people just reject your storytelling because they know what's up. Like,
we know why she was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, back to Ambrose. Like, it's just, if he feels like he's cooked, and hopefully, things change and he'll be back.
Yeah.
I mean, not hopefully, like, it's if hopefully he gets to a place where
we can see the best of
find the love
Dean
in wrestling
Ambrose
that he used to have, to where he can do this again. Because like that dude, I mean, remember he was for a long time he was Iron Man, and then you get this thing, and he's out here,
You feel like the love ain't exactly being returned.
Gas mask, just Jesus Christ!
Like he I hope he gets to a place to where if he does return, like we see the best of Dean Ambrose, like because we clearly haven't seen the best of Ambrose in a long time.
What, like 2000, beginning of 2016, probably?
Yeah.
Well, I take it back. Maybe like the middle of 2017 when he was doing the tag run with Rollins, and basically it was like
that's another good one.
Them in the bar on Raw, and then Usos and the New Day on SmackDown were literally like not only were they like going head to head with each other in the ring, they're also going head to head with their each other programs, trying to see like who could be the best like program this year in 2017. Like I don't think we'll ever have that kind of tag division, that kind of like great work in the tag division ever again.
We needed
something. The way they dismantle it since then on the main roster.
Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about today is the last thing on my sheet, and with a concerned tone here. Daniel Bryan's ominous absence from WWE since WrestleMania. Now, it was like 20 days, I want to say, maybe 19 days, or I don't know how many days since WrestleMania. WrestleMania was on the 7th, right?
Right, so it's been 14 days.
Okay, 14 days. So, Daniel Bryan's been off all the reporting. They're closely guarding his injury, whatever it may be that happened in the Kofi Kingston match. I don't know what it is. But right now, I'm fearing for the worst. And worse meaning concussion. And I don't know if this is the end of the line for Daniel Bryan again. I'd love to get some more info on this. waiting for the reporting to drop, fearful of the reporting to drop. But I feel like if Daniel Bryan had torn his ACL or had sprained like something, or broke his rib or something like that, like we would have got it. There's only one real reason to hide an injury in WWE at this point, and I'll also say, like, Sasha Banks, we don't really find out too much about her injuries either, right? So it might not be a concussion, but just with Daniel Bryan's history, it sounds like not good news. And they haven't mentioned him. They haven't done anything on TV. Kind of concerned.
I mean, I see your reason to be concerned because of the history he has with concussions in his brain and everything. I think I never thought about. I just never took it or thought about it in the way you have. I never said it like, oh my God, they haven't really mentioned him at all. It's more or less just he lost at WrestleMania, and I think I took it as he'll be back eventually. And like I heard there was injury, but same thing. Like I didn't really give it much thought. But with me and Daniel Bryan, I take all of this stuff the same way that I took it at the time in 2015, where it's like any new thing I get out of Daniel Bryan is a bonus. And once stuff like that happens to your brain, like it's there. And things might get better. And in case of Daniel Bryan, it appears that it did get better, but how much better did it really get? So, if this is the end or whatever else, it's a hell of a way to go out. And it also adds to the magic of Daniel Bryan. It almost feels it would be kind of poetic, but
and I wouldn't regret like cheering him to come back because this is clearly what this guy wanted to do. He woke up, I imagine, at ungodly hours to get his brain tested, wherever else, to work hard to stay in shape, to come back, and what some people are calling the best run of his career. I don't agree, but it's like it's right
like
there.
Second best.
Yeah,
it's
right there.
Strong, and there's a lot of strong Daniel Bryan to have between that 2000 or the end of that 2011 into going into 2012 when he turned heel and he was a twerp, and he's doing the yes while people were furious and doing the no, the Team Hell no stuff, the run from the run all the way to WrestleMania 30, and then this like you have one of those and you're lucky as a wrestler in WWE. Like he's had 4 of them, and all in relatively short succession almost, and also like in the arc of his career. Like I remember at one point, like before he came back into at the beginning or going into WrestleMania 34, I thought that Daniel Bryan had like the greatest character arc of all time in WWE at the top of a card for more like a year run or something short. So the fact that he was able to actually add to that, especially given how dire it was like in the fall. Yeah. Where like, he's having kick-ass matches on TV with AJ Styles, but like this don't feel big time. To take that from there to, he was in the most emotionally invested feud people were in on WrestleMania, and then he goes out there and has a fucking wrestling clinic with Kofi. That's a hell of a way to go out if this is the case, or whatever happens. Like he did it again, and I know, and this is all bonus. Like we never thought we were going to see that again. Like. This is where we are. So, like I'll come to terms with it if it comes thing. Like, but I'm not going to take it as I'm just like I haven't wrapped my head around it. I'm processing it right now as you're telling me about like the potential there, because I never really considered it.
Yeah, because like it just like word normally gets out on this stuff, and it just hasn't thus far. Sheamus has come. They've come out and said Sheamus has been concussed, right? And he hasn't been on TV, but it's just weird with Daniel Bryan. It's different. And
well, I will say this: it's better than them telling him he needs to get his ass on the plane to wrestle more matches in Europe after a concussion. So
yeah, but yeah, that was pretty much it for my format sheet laid down for this week. But make sure anything else, James, that you wanted to talk about before we rolled up out of here today.
Nah, not really. Think anything that really comes to mind. There was I can't remember what it was. I forgot. So just screw it. Whatever. If it comes up to me, we'll talk about it off air. Sorry, folks.
Well, yeah. Make sure you guys are checking out all the other shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast.
Oh,
Network.
I remember now. So I remember reading the Observer this week about how Stardom has dates on Tony Storm.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So a few months ago, there's a huge thing about how all the UK talent that we're still doing, like, Rev Pro, Progress, what have you. Is it ICW?
Yes.
Yeah, ICW and the likes in the UK scene, how that talent was still allowed to be on shows or whatever else, and even on I believe even still on their streaming at that time. And then how that changed, and then the people were thinking like, well, that means that the UK scene is like toast for 2 years so they can develop more people to kind of rebound from the losses. You had the Pete Dunne tweet saying fret not, meanwhile he is the guy that's getting these checks. But whatever.
Right.
It is what it is. So, and that's no knock against Pete Dunne, get your money. But you don't have to tell me to fret not when there's reasons to fret, bro. Chill. They give you the check to wrestle, they give you the check to wrestle and cut promos. They
not
don't give
to
you
keep.
Yeah. So, Stardom is a company.
Is this concerning for you? Like, before you get it out, is this concerning? Because there are lots of reasons to be like to not like this.
I'm not concerned. My point about Tony Storm is they mentioned the dates that Tony Storm's going to work, even though And then you also mentioned you also watched the Stardom draft. They mentioned Piper Niven.
Yep.
So that means she's still going to be doing tours like she's been doing for years, as part of Queen's Quest. So in Stardom. So we just saw you saw the Stardom show in America, and then you also know that the next night, Mai Iwatani was on the Supercard show. So was Kagetsu and Hana Kimura and Hazuki, also on the pre-show for that same MSG card.
Yep.
I made a note to you about like Rossi Ogawa's out here. He's monetistic, right? So I'm starting now that I'm thinking about it, and it made me think like, what is the potential that, seeing that Stardom is not a company that really loans out their talent that much, and now they're starting to do it, that there's a quid pro quo going on of, we'll give you dates on Niven, we'll give you dates on Storm, but let me holler at you about, we've seen it for years now, about to talk about how they may just buy some shit off WWE and or Progress and stick it on their at a higher pay scale.
Yeah.
What do they say? You know what? We'll give you a blank check. Put the Stardom on our thing, or better yet, hey, don't loan out no more talent to these individuals. We'll give you dates on these women that have histories in your company that people enjoy when you go on tour.
That's what it sounds like, and it sounds like WWE is trying to do that. You ever hear about like when during like the World War, like when they're like toppling countries like Germany, they're just filling up more of the map? Mm-hmm. I think there's an element of that at play. WWE trying to break into Japan with this.
Yeah, and another one that I need to bring up is like Zaya also, because Zaya was also drafted to Zaya Brookside is also drafted to Stars on the thing too. So it's like, and she just got done doing a tour, so it's like, and she's gonna come back, like, as opposed to that was her last tour and she's done, she's wrapping up and she's going to, just do the UK thing. So it's like
something to definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on as a potential power play, and it's like, I mean, one way or the other, like Stardom's gonna be straight. If anything, you ask me what my best case scenario is for the situation is, all right, they get down. They get down. They like all of a sudden, Rossi Ogawa is a part of the network, right? You got you have all of that. You have all of that performance center talent or whatever else. All these athletes. Fly their ass over there. Let them get some dates. because you can't tell me. After watching Stardom and hearing the stuff that I've told you about with Stardom or Sierra or whoever else, that if we put some of the athletes they have, that they won't be great in 2 years. Like you can't tell me that Lacey Evans would not be a better wrestler if she was not out, if she had not gone, if she had given an opportunity to do some of those 6-woman tags, as opposed to she gets in where she fits in because there's a million women, just like there's a million men. And there's only 2 like touring spots on NXT between like the Largo Loop and like the Tampas of the world. So yeah, like this could be a benefit, but we'll see. Or it could just be a power play. I don't know. I would like it. I'm hoping that it's both.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to spend pin 2 bills on streaming services. I can spend on one, and also like we can get some better wrestlers as a result because of them being able to get some reps.
Definitely something to pay attention to, and yeah, like close attention to, because this shit can happen quick. So
yeah.
But yeah, I that's gonna wrap the show up. Thank you guys all for listening. Make sure you check out One Nation Radio is always on Sundays. We got Keeping It Strong Style Monday night, Tuesday morning, whichever it may be. We got Grown Men Watch This Shit every other Wednesday. We got the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, our dudes from Scotland. We've got NXT Then Now Forever with James on Thursdays, and All Things Elite with Floyd, and usually a rotating co-host and all that. But definitely check out their episode from this week.
Hold up, right now. Hold on. So you say NXT Then Now Forever is with James, and then you go to the next show and then say it's Floyd with rotating hosts, as if I don't have rotating hosts on my show. Stop trying to push a narrative that it's solo James. Don't do that.
This is they wanted more James, so they got more James.
Oh my god! Here this guy goes.
Superstar.
Stop it. Stop it. Y'all quit playing. Quit playing.
Well, yeah, man. What was I gonna say at the end of this thing here? I don't remember, but yeah. Everybody have a good holiday and whatever and all that, and have a wonderful week. So that we all have to go back to various forms of work or school or whatever you may be heading into this week. But yeah, it's always fun to come on the show and shoot some shit about this fake fighting shit. And yeah, we went to the Largo Loop the other night. It was hilarious. The Viking Experience name was booed big time. Yeah. And I don't know what else was really on that show.
Casey Catanzaro and Lacey Lane beat Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke on the house show loop, which is like okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Like
yeah.
they can't. Like
the
funny part is when they first showed up, like they were winning like almost all their matches on like the house shows, whatever else. Like they stayed being Dakota Kai. So now, like, it's almost like a thing. Like James Boyd will be watching this NXT show in any way, shape, or form. They're never going to win. Like, they haven't won on they haven't won on the show, and I just watched them for the first time on a house show, and they lose. Then it's like it's got to be like Triple H has to be fucking with me. So you have that Kushida.
Kushida was there.
It's probably his second match in WWE or / NXT. So that was cool. Him and Keith Lee versus Red Dragon, Fish, and O'Reilly, which is like, dude, like we paid $10 to see that. Like that's what Josh kept coming back to. Like we paid $10 to see that, and Shayna Baszler beat the piss out of someone. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. And that was really only like a mid-tier show that, you know, I've been to around here. Like, man, there was one a couple months ago I was at. It was in St. Pete. Matt Riddle and Johnny Gargano were a tag team. So it was like, you know, and the main event was Ricochet and Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan against Undisputed Era, everybody but Cole. And it was Adam Cole and the other two, Strong and O'Reilly. So you never know what you're gonna get at these NXT house shows. So it's always cool to kind of come out there. But
like the Largo Loop show I went to a week ago, the main event was what was going to be the North American title match before Ciampa went down. So it was Cole versus Riddle versus Velveteen, and that match was great. Like I probably gave that like 4.25.
But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the show. We're done rambling now, but make sure you guys hit us with the ratings and reviews and reach out to us on social media. So, but as always, don't come taking that fun shit. But that's gonna wrap it up. We up out of here.
Later.
Peace.